pretty cool stuff. I was reading her bio.
It's wild, right?
That in-ground playground in Brooklyn.
That place sounded pretty legit.
In-ground playground? What do you mean?
I mean, indoor playground, yeah. It's 5,000 square foot, like, play park for kids in Williamsburg, Brooklyn.
That's cool.
Yeah. And it got, like, bought out by some big organization, and she had, like, Kate Hudson there and a bunch of celebrities that were local to Brooklyn, yeah.
Yeah, it's tough this time of year when you want to get the kids out.
Yeah.
And they're not old enough to do, like, real things.
Yep. Yeah, it's tough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, our living room has just been a bombshell of just toys every weekend. It's like, you can't go outside. It's too cold.
Yeah.
It's like you clean it up, and then you hear...
Yep.
Like the tub.
Jackson, what are you doing?
Yeah, like
nothing. It's like, oh.
Yeah, it's pretty insane.
It is insane, man. Totally insane.
All right, you guys ready?
I was born
Sure.
ready.
Sure.
All right, cool. All right, hit the button.
Hitting the button.
Whenever you're ready.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the MulletCast, the podcast where business and pleasure collide. My name's Evan Balmer.
What's going on? It's Mike Mercia.
What's up, Mike? How you doing?
I'm good. Just posting something on the gram.
Sweet. Today we are joined by Joseph York. Joseph is a realtor with Jack Green Realty in Ocean Grove. What's going on, Joseph?
Hey, thanks for having me.
No problem. So real quick, people can find you at jackgreenrealty.com, on Instagram at Joseph York Jack Green, and we got you tagged up there for Facebook, etc.
Awesome.
How's everything going?
Great.
Cool.
Good start to the year.
That's important, man. So you got your start probably in real estate the way everybody does, is you were a math teacher for 10 years, right?
Yeah, I took the traditional route.
That's right.
Yeah, I started my career out of college immediately, taught high school math for 10 years.
Right.
Really loved my career. There were great aspects to it, but the finances just weren't cutting it for a family that wanted to grow and have more kids, and it also wasn't conducive to the lifestyle that I wanted. So I started by just part-time trying real estate out. It went really well. Decided to take the plunge, and now it's my full-time job.
That's cool. So you went to school at Monmouth University.
Monmouth University. Yeah.
And then you got a teaching gig right away?
Yep. Actually, I was hired before I even graduated.
That's
so
crazy.
It was very quick. As a math teacher, you're very marketable.
Okay.
It's a really in-demand position, because if you get a degree in mathematics, you're kind of silly taking a teaching job, because you could be making 4 times that doing something else. But, I was passionate about teaching. I wanted to be there for kids, just like my teachers were for me as a young man. And, I did my time, though. I did my 10 years. I feel like I gave that back to the community. And, now I was ready for a career that was more about me and my goals in life.
Absolutely. Did you stay in Monmouth as your first job as a teacher?
So I taught actually up in Middlesex County,
Okay.
At a school in Island, Woodbridge Township. While I was there, I coached tennis for a while,
Nice.
the girls' varsity tennis program. It was really
Nice.
cool.
That's awesome.
I ran the robotics team at the school. And then at my second teaching job, I directed the plays and musicals. And so I was always involved in something beyond just the classroom, too.
Right. That's cool. What was so was the robotics team, were you doing those competitions where kids like fight robots, or was it more
smash
like
each other?
doing tasks kind of things?
Well, it was a STEM-oriented program that we actually brought in engineers to help the kids, because honestly, I had no clue what was going on. I was just a young teacher that the principal's like, hey, they want to start a robotics club. You're doing it, right? And I said, yes, sir, I will do that for you, because I'd like to keep this job.
Right.
But it was cool. They took robots in different challenges every year, moving hula hoops to hang them on a post or things like that. And
Right.
That's awesome.
It was fun, yeah.
I can't imagine every high school has that.
Not every school does, and actually, I started the program with kids that just personally wanted to get involved in robotics, and that outlet wasn't there for them yet, so we created it. And it's a great way for kids to learn about stuff that's going to be applicable in the future. That robotics is
Right.
Everything is going that way.
Yeah,
Totally.
AI and robotics.
Someday you're going to be replaced by a robot, man.
Yeah. You know what? I'll be long gone, hopefully, before then.
Yeah, right. That's pretty cool. And then you did get into real estate, I guess, on a personal level. You purchased an investment property back in Asbury in 2010.
Yeah.
Was that-
So fresh out of college, I moved into a really dirt cheap apartment. Our living room floor, you could roll a marble from one side to the other,
Right.
but it cost me $400 a month to stay in that dirt hole.
Right.
And,
In Asbury.
It was actually in Allenhurst, right across the way.
Wow.
It was in a little carriage house. Our landlord was a World War II veteran, and I think the last time he fixed up the house was probably after he got home from the war.
That's sweet.
But you know what? He was a really nice guy. We had cheap rent, allowed me to save some money. And in 2010, I bought my first property in Asbury Park on First Avenue on the west side.
Nice.
And that was the beginning of my real estate investment. And we've continued since. My wife and I own in Spring Lake Heights, and we have rental properties that we rent out in Asbury Park.
That's
So,
cool.
yeah.
That's awesome.
And what was the Asbury market like in 2010? Has it been a bumpy ride since then?
You know what? I bought at the right time. I bought when interest rates were at their lowest. There were still new home buyer grants that the federal government was giving out. So I forget what it was, $9,000, something like that. But that makes a big difference when you're 22 years old.
Sure.
Yeah, it's like no closing cost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and,
Right.
and
Nuts.
the market there just goes crazy. I mean, we got a letter from the tax assessor for our current property, and last year the average property in Asbury Park went up 14%.
Yeah,
like
that's
where
nuts.
are you seeing that anywhere else?
Right.
I mean that's so. Personally, I've done very well. Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
So do you own multiple in Asbury or?
We're positioning to buy another one.
Nice.
Probably I want to close out my taxes for this year. Just make sure things are square for
Yeah.
last year, and then we're ready to pounce on our next one.
Awesome.
Yeah. All you need is 20%.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's it.
So then at the time you were building up your own investment kind of portfolio, but teaching for a while, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then how did you slide into real estate as a career?
So my world has changed drastically in the last 3 years. If you would have met me 3 years ago, I was a bachelor living in Asbury Park by myself, going out every night, having a good time,
Right.
and teaching high school math and all that good stuff. And then I met my wife, Bridget. We were engaged 6 months later. We were married about 5 months after that.
Right.
And we got
Wow.
pregnant on our honeymoon, and our son Grover came 9 months later. And,
Right.
you know, the whole world is just a different place for me
Right.
than I was back then.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Rephrase the question. Forgot.
So we were talking
Right,
about
I got a
how
little lost
you
there.
became a realtor.
Yeah, so having the kid and this responsibility really changed my world. My wife also, she worked for a solar company. It was very profitable until they got bought off by a larger company. In time, the company had to dissolve itself. She lost her job. So we went from thinking that she actually might be the breadwinner, and I
Right.
would come home and be a stay-at-home dad, and you know, that all got turned on its face. So I looked at real estate as something that I was really interested in, and I could try part-time while I was still teaching.
Right.
And it just worked. I really loved it. And it took a lot of guts to do it. But last June, I said, you know what? If I'm really going to do this, I should do it full-time, really invest my energy in getting new clients and working to build a business. So I took the plunge and resigned from teaching last June.
Wow.
Yeah.
And now how's full-time real estate?
It's good. It's a whole different world after 10 years of getting a steady paycheck every 2 weeks. You know, I don't experience that anymore. But there is also the possibility of making more money if you work harder, and that's something I do. I mean, I'm a hard worker. If you give me a task, it gets done. And I really like that because the only way I was going to make more money teaching is just wait another year, and you get like a $500 or $1,000 pay
Right.
increase,
Yeah.
and that just doesn't work for my personality. I'm a go-getter and wanted to make a difference for my family.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
awesome.
cool. And did you start at Jack Green when you
Started
there?
at Jack Green, yeah. It's a phenomenal company. We're a boutique company, so when I started, we just had the 2 offices. They started in Ocean Grove, and they opened their second office in Spring Lake. That's the one I work out of. And just this year, we opened our 3rd office in Neptune. But what was great about them is that they're a family office.
Right.
The top people that perform in our office are young parents, and that just fit who I was, and they were willing to let me do the part-time thing and figure things out. And
Right.
when I was ready to commit full-time, they were ready to put the support behind me full-time
Awesome.
too. So I mean, I'm very happy
That's
working
cool.
for Jack Green. Yeah,
Right.
incredible company.
It's a good name. I mean, you
Yeah.
see it all over, especially
Yeah.
in the shore area
Right.
between, I guess, West. I've seen it in Long Branch all the way down to like Belmar, Manasquan.
Yeah.
It's really all over.
Yep.
So to give you a little background of how our company started too, Jack Green's actually a builder.
Okay.
So they really know construction well too. So they're a great asset to have when I have questions. But they had a lot of inventory in '08, just like everybody, that they just couldn't get rid of.
Right.
So apparently Jack went out and interviewed a bunch of brokerages and just wasn't happy with what he was hearing. You know, people weren't really giving him what he wanted to hear about, like selling his properties. They were just looking to collect that commission. And he said, you know what, I could do this better myself. So he went out and started his own company, hired someone to be the office manager to start until he got his broker's license and all that good stuff. And, you know, now they're rocking and rolling and, you know, have 3 offices and growing.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Is he still active as a builder?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, they just did a nice new construction in Spring Lake this year, and I think he's got quite a few other jobs that I'm not even privy to. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. How
cool.
many agents do you guys have total?
You know what? I don't know what our current number is, but I would imagine somewhere around like 50.
50? Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. So what was it like when you started out part-time? I mean, you had some real estate experience from owning properties.
Yeah.
Was it what you expected, and what did it take to get the business going?
You know what it really came down to was generating a client base, and I had a good foothold. I'm a very involved person. I do a lot of stuff. You know, everything from I go to the gym every single day and see people. I've been very social in every work environment that I've worked in, including restaurant industry and teaching.
Right.
I do a lot of acting, so I know people through that, and I just had a good network base. So I started just selling houses to people that I knew.
Right.
And just in the last few months, I've started to be able to generate enough business using Instagram or other social media platforms that have drawn in, strangers, basically, that, are new leads.
Right.
And it's going well. And I think my goal for this year is to double what I did last year. So it's an aggressive goal, but I'm pushing for it.
Right.
You're getting good with the gram, though. I see you posting every day.
Yeah. I was a late starter. It's kind of funny when you get to a certain age and you realize that, wow, I'm in the next older generation where I'm not doing what the young kids are doing. Because I did Facebook, right? So when I first signed up for Facebook, it was college kids only, right?
Yeah.
And stuck with it. And when Instagram came out, I said, well, what do I need Instagram and Facebook for?
Yeah.
Right.
But I didn't have a business. I was just putting myself out there. So I didn't see the purpose. And now that I'm committed to doing something where you need to put your face in front of thousands of people, otherwise you're not making sales, I realized, I better get on this.
We had this conversation
Enjoying the
yesterday.
young kids. Yeah.
Plus, as a high school teacher, maybe there's like a sort of creepy line between trolling your students on Instagram.
Yeah, you know what?
That's true. That's true.
You actually
can't do that.
you do a lot to hide on social media platforms while you're teaching. I was just saying, I just finally switched my Facebook profile to have my last name like a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
Oh, really?
I always had my first and middle, so my students couldn't find me.
Right.
Now I'm taking a whole different approach to social
That's pretty
media.
funny.
Yeah.
So you went from needing to be obscure to now you want people to find
Just get
you.
out
That's
there.
great.
Yeah.
That is funny.
Yeah.
So on Instagram, I think it's interesting. Like I follow you on Instagram, and the thing I like, I think it's important for realtors and probably most entrepreneurs in general is getting to know you, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like a picture of property after property after property. Like for instance, we know you were skiing this past weekend in Vermont, right? So it's like it's a good way for people to know what you're all about, what it's like to work with you.
Yeah, I mean, you got to share your authentic self.
Right.
I mean, when someone's going to hire me to buy or sell their home, that's one of the biggest, investments they're going to make in their lifetime. They want someone that they will work well with, that they trust, and when they know a little bit more about who you are as a person, it allows them to be comfortable with that.
Right.
They don't want just some stranger in a tie coming and listing in their house for them. You know, they want to feel that you're part of their community, that you do the same things that they do, you care about the same things they care about.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. You always post pictures of your kid, playing, right? And like anybody that sees that, it's gonna be, oh, this is a normal guy. Like, this is somebody that I would love to do business with.
Right.
And it's it adds that human touch.
Yeah.
So
Plus, my kid's cute, so it helps. He sells houses.
Totally.
Gotta start bringing him to listing appointments.
Yeah.
That's right. I was joking with someone the other day. I know another realtor. He was training his young son to say like, "Who's the best realtor you know?"
Yeah.
I said,
really?
"What do you say, Barbara Corcoran?" But he's like getting him to say his dad's name. It's really funny.
That's cool.
So I mean, was it hard for you to make that switch from like not posting about yourself to suddenly, all right, now I'm kind of promoting myself online?
Oh yeah, I the day that I took my first selfie was a weird moment. Never was a selfie guy. Like wasn't gonna do that. Kind of mocked other people for doing it, but then I realized, oh, you got to do this. So I took a quick selfie, took a few minutes to think about whether I was really going to post it, and then I
Right.
pulled the trigger, and I
Yeah.
never looked back. Just
cool.
keep rocking and rolling.
And I mean, the world didn't end, so
Yeah,
yeah,
you're all right,
yeah.
I guess.
Kept moving.
That's cool.
I gotta, the next thing that everybody's talking about is Instagram, but it's video.
Okay,
It's taking
yeah.
self videos. I
Right.
haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah,
I feel weird holding a phone and talking from it.
right.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. it takes
pictures are a
time.
lot easier. It's a still shot. You could caption whatever you want.
Right.
Sure.
I saw a nice picture of you and a bird yesterday. That was cool.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
sweet.
In Asbury, they
Olive.
Yeah. Was that the bird's name?
Olive. Yeah.
Olive. Yeah. There's a bird inside High Voltage.
Okay.
And took a little selfie with it.
Nice.
Bird was making the rounds. So you've been a full-time agent for all of last year.
Well, really, just since June
Okay.
of last year. Yeah, I
Right.
mean, I was part time up till I resigned from teaching. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Took
Gotcha.
the plunge in June. Yeah.
So what's your take on like how the year finished for you last year and how it looks like this year? Do you notice any differences?
Yeah, I mean, I ended the year strong. For a new agent, I did a ton of business last year, and was one of the top performers in my office, and very excited. This year I'm starting off with a lot of great opportunities too. I have 3 new active listings, and anybody that's new into real estate, I'll tell you, selling homes to buyers, if you're the buyer's agent, is the easy part.
Right.
Acquiring listings is really the challenge.
Right.
But that's what really builds your business, and so to be able to have over $1 million worth of listings right now is kind of a cool place to be less than a year
Yeah.
into
That's
this
cool.
career. Yeah.
And have you noticed what's like the marketplace like right now?
You know what? We are a little bit seasonal given where we live.
Right.
Things slowed down through the holiday season, but I'll tell you what, this week it's really starting to pick up. Held a broker's open last Wednesday.
Nice.
And so many people came through, holding a couple open houses this weekend, expecting some turnout. Nicer weather brings people out, gets
Yeah.
them excited about the spring.
That's true.
Buy their house for the summer season real close to the shore.
Absolutely.
Because
No
that's
doubt.
my market area.
Right.
I mean, my listings are, I got a little one in Avon right across from the beach.
That's
I
sweet.
got 2 listings in Spring Lake Heights, like beach communities.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So how are you getting these listings? Don't give away the secrets to anyone
Yeah.
listening, but
Yeah.
Jack Green's a boutique realty.
Mm-hmm.
It's everyone knows it in the neighborhood. I'm sure a lot of people that live in the towns that it's located. So are you farming these, or is it word of mouth? Or are you just getting yourself out there by
So,
meeting more people?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of both. 2 of my listings right now are just people that knew me in my personal life and were ready to make a step to sell. And I said, you know what, let me take the opportunity to interview and get that business. And it worked out great. My other listing in Avon was probably the best possible scenario. I had a listing there that I sold in like 3 days, got
Right.
it under contract. And the purchasing person, because I was representing both sides in this deal, already had a condo. She was just moving up a floor.
Nice.
So,
Yeah.
she was like, you did such a great job helping me buy this new one. Will you sell my old one? And I mean,
That's
that
cool.
works.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
when you're in a small building like those condo associations, people hear about it. They see
Right.
your name. You're renting this,
Yeah.
you're selling that. And then they call you up.
It's
They're
true.
like, you just sold so-and-so's for this much. Can you do it for me?
Yeah.
There you go.
And
Yeah.
So,
It
that's
snowballs.
I met a guy last year during a transaction. I think he made his whole career like on one building in Monmouth Beach. He was
Yeah.
like the guy that did basically every deal in the building. It was crazy.
It's
you know?
it's a good way to build a business.
Right.
Get your foot in one of those
Yeah.
doors. Yeah.
That's cool. So any property addresses you want to share where people can check out an open house this weekend?
Yeah, sure. So I'll personally be at 716 Wall Road in Spring Lake Heights this Sunday from 1 to 3. Beautiful lot. If you check it out on the MLS, it's got some nice aerial shots that had drone footage. You're like a few blocks down at the beach. It's a great little bungalow for someone that wants a summer home, or a great opportunity for new home buyer. Even potentially to build
Yeah.
bigger.
Right.
That's kind of the trend in Heights right now. So.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Spring Lake Heights is hot right now, right?
Yeah,
It's
it's
everyone's talking
amazing.
about it.
You watch people buy like a $500,000 house, and then 2 months later it's gone. and
Right.
This like monstrosity has replaced it.
Oh,
It's like,
really? Yeah.
Wow! Now we've got a $900,000
Right.
house.
Yeah.
It's
That
crazy.
is pretty insane.
Yeah.
Is that is there a shortage in the Heights, or is it like a spillover from Spring Lake? What's the?
It's a little bit of both. Some people have told me that a lot of the Heights community are the kids of the Spring Lakers
Okay.
that can't afford Spring Lake.
Right.
So they've come over the tracks to the more affordable community. But really what it comes down to is Spring Lake Heights is a beautiful community. The school systems are great.
Right.
Our DPW is amazing. Like if you forget to take your trash out, they'll walk to the back of your house and take your trash bags
Are you
and throw them in the
serious?
truck. Like,
Nice.
I mean, just the simple stuff like that,
Yeah.
but it just feels so nice to be in a town like
That's
that.
pretty
So,
cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's drawing people in, and our property taxes, relative to other towns, are much lower. So that's one of the big draws too, because
Right.
that brings your bottom line down for the year.
Right. That's
Yeah.
cool.
What other towns you see up and coming in Monmouth?
Well, I always keep my pulse on Asbury Park. I mean, I think that's a great opportunity both for people that want to live there and also for investment. You know, buying some properties that you can put a little refurbished work into and rent out, I mean, is a great opportunity. And that's what I personally am interested in. And I'm working with a couple investors right now to find some properties too. So it's exciting because the development there is remarkable in the last 10 years.
Right.
Yeah.
So you definitely feel like there's still opportunity.
Oh, big time. Yeah. Big time. I mean, there's so much left to that town. It's
Right.
only a sliver of it has really seen huge development.
Sure.
So you're talking about the west side more?
Yeah, I mean, there's still even opportunities on the east side, but the west side is where I bought my first house. There's great tree-lined streets over there.
Sure.
Some beautiful
Yeah.
old homes that just need a little bit of love.
Right.
And you know what? It's got a lot of culture in that town. That's what I love about it. You're buying into a cool community that's
Right.
a little different than anywhere else.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That is true. Yeah, it's a good spot, man. So what's it been like? You know, all right. So you're in the new year. You got your listings. Are you happy with the change you made?
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my life is so different. When people ask me, what's the coolest thing about your new career, I say I get to go with my son at 10:45 on Monday mornings to Little Gym
Yeah.
for an hour and a half and watch him do his thing.
That's cool.
And then I take him home, put him down for a nap. My wife comes home and I go to work. You know, like you can't do that when you work in
Yeah.
other fields.
Right.
You know,
That's
I have
true.
the flexibility to be a dad, and
That is cool.
that's my number one prerogative is to be a good father and be around and be an active part of my children's life. Like I know I could go up to New York City and get myself a 6-figure job and support my family that way, but I'd never see them.
Right.
Yeah.
So this was the opportunity for me to be around, but also have a decent lifestyle.
That's cool.
Yeah.
There's been a huge increase in male real estate agents
Yeah.
over the last 10 years. It was primarily a female-based industry,
Yeah.
and I think that's a huge part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, the mortgage industry has that same flexibility, and that's what drew me to it. I wanted
Right.
to do something in the financial sector, sales-related, but nothing gives you the flexibility like our industry where
Right.
I drive them to daycare every morning.
Yeah.
If I get to the office a little late because of traffic, I'm not going to get, reamed out by a manager. It's,
Right.
just, I'm on my own schedule and I work around it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is cool.
You work around your life rather than living around your work.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So what's going on around your life other than I know you were skiing, and what other kind of stuff are you into?
Yeah. Well, I mean, right now our focus is on our growing family. We've got baby number 2 coming in April.
Nice.
Nice, that's awesome.
Yeah. That's really exciting. But my daily routine is I'm a big gym guy. I go every single day. I belong to a really small gym in Manasquan. It's called Spark Fitness.
Right.
And you don't have to plan anything. You show up. We have the most phenomenal trainers that have like a workout ready for you.
Right.
You do it. You work harder than you ever would if you went to like a big box gym by yourself.
Right.
And that keeps me in shape, keeps me happy. My wife and I do a lot of walking. We're a big walking family. We
Right.
take the boy out, bundle him up,
Right.
Yeah.
do some hikes, stuff like that. So,
Awesome.
But we're also big beach bums. So come summertime, we'll be rocking and rolling on Spring Lake Beach.
Nice.
So yeah, and we're also a huge family. So my wife is one of 8.
Wow.
I'm one of 5. So we are constantly doing different family things, getting
Right.
the kids together. It's cool.
And everyone's in the shore?
A lot of them.
Yeah.
So my siblings are spread around the country. My wife's siblings are primarily right in our town. So,
Okay.
My son's got a bunch of first cousins to play with, all his own
That's
age.
awesome.
and-
That's cool.
Yeah, it's
So you
cool.
probably have at least like one family birthday a month, like
Yeah.
constantly,
Yeah.
like some
Yeah.
event.
Always something going on.
Yeah.
yeah,
totally.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
And you brought up you were a theater, like,
Yeah, so
teacher?
I started just doing theater myself in high school, and it became my full-time thing. Like I stopped doing sports. I'm still an athletic person. I like to run, do all that, but stopped participating in like organized sports.
Right.
And really got into theater. Loved it. It's really just a good passion because I like to sing. I like to act. It was a good outlet. Met a lot of great people through it, and I still do quite a bit, but just not as much as I did before I had children.
Right.
I work with a company at a Red Bank that does shows in the Count Basie Theater.
Oh, cool.
Called Phoenix Productions. They're cool to work with. I work with a small company down in Ocean Grove called Nina. The Spring Lake Community House even has a little theater group that I've done a show there, and I'm excited when my son's a little bit older to get him involved too. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, my kids saw a show down there last summer, I think. They went to Annie in Spring
Okay,
Lake.
yeah.
It said it was good. Yeah.
It's classic.
Right.
Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Do you see that helping you in your real estate profession?
You know what? It probably will, but I haven't been actively doing shows for about a year now just because I don't have the time to do so. But the network of people that I've met through the years doing it are definitely an asset.
Even a
to my
small
business.
production,
Yeah.
you have the whole lump sum of people there working together.
Yeah. I mean, you build a network over time just doing anything. So, of course, it'll help my business.
I mean, I think the communication aspect of it probably,
Yeah.
you go into like a listing appointment and be like, that was my greatest performance as a
Yeah,
realtor ever.
yeah.
Yeah, it helps to be personable, right?
Yeah.
So,
That's
yeah, having that
Definitely
acting
makes it
experience.
easier social media wise,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's right.
Definitely.
In his greatest role, selling 716 Wall Street.
There you go.
That's pretty funny. No, I think it probably does help, just in terms of talking and, knowing how to, because you are in a way putting on a show, right?
Yeah.
Every encounter with, showing someone a house is like, is that kind of event basically.
Sure.
We've had a printer salesman, right,
Okay.
on the podcast
Right.
maybe a month and a half ago, and he has an acting background, loves music. He was an American Idol. That guy I don't need a printer. I wanted to buy one,
Yeah.
right? Just because the way he talks about things, he just has that flow to it. It's that background's a good one to have in sales.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely cool.
He's also the orange man for the Mets, so he wears the one.
I mean, this guy, you start peeling back the layers.
Yeah.
It was very fascinating.
Yeah.
So you got a second kid coming. How's that going to? You ready for April? That's, your busy time of the year, and it's going to.
Yeah, I mean, we're very excited. Beyond just having the kid, my wife and I took a huge step. We put our home up for rent last year for summer rental in our area. That's a big thing.
Right.
And we thought we could move to our property in Asbury Park because we had tenants moving out. Just ride it out for June, July, August.
Right.
Move right back to our house in September.
Right.
So we put our house up, and someone came along and asked to rent it for the whole year.
Wow.
And my wife and I were like, I don't know if we can do this. So we put together a number. We're like, all right, we could do it if you can do this number. And they were like, all right. So we moved our family out of our house.
Wow.
Which is, it's not a huge house, but it's a nice 4-bedroom house with plenty of space for kids and whatever. And moved ourselves into this tiny little bungalow to like save some money and make the difference affordable for us.
Right.
And so we're moving back to our house in March.
Oh, wow.
And I am so excited about that because now we'll be able to prepare really for the baby.
Right.
Yeah, settle
Get the
in.
room set up. Get the little guy into a big boy bed now.
Right.
Yeah.
So a lot of transitions coming our way. Yeah.
So how did that go? Did you leave like a lot of furniture behind? Was it furnished? And...
It was the most confusing process ever because they wanted like partially furnished.
Right.
So we left like some of our stuff, but we had to take other stuff.
Right.
And, we packed our attic full of a bunch of stuff.
Okay.
And basically said, attic's not yours, it's ours.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But, we made it through. We're almost to the finish line, but we can't wait to get
And
back.
so how did it go though? Was it like no problems with someone staying and renting your house?
Tenants are always going to be a problem to some extent. I mean, we've had issues here and there, but nothing that was didn't make the process worth it. It was still worth it for us. Yeah.
That's cool. I was just reading this article the other day. It was talking about like how to get a vacation home for no cost, and it was basically like the same idea. It was just buy this sort of destination property.
Sure.
And there's a network out there of people that just kind of swap out houses. So it's like, all right, I want to stay in Spring Lake Heights for a week this summer. I got someone staying at my place in Pennsylvania or wherever, and you just kind of like barter, not really barter it out, but rent it out and stay around. It sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, I did a lot of thinking about buying a ski home this weekend, I'll tell you that.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But even when you do that, you only use it for 2 weeks, 3 weeks yourself, and
Right.
you make your money back by renting it the rest of the
Right.
season.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know. You sounded like you had a pretty good deal to pass up. Though.
I was gonna say, open up a hostel, right?
Yeah.
A couple bunk beds.
When we go with the guys, it's affordable, but
Yeah.
when you take the family, you got to stay in a little bit of a nicer place. So.
Yeah.
That is pretty cool. You had mentioned before this that you've actually been on a podcast before. You got a gift as like a wedding gift.
So it's not a traditional podcast where it's put out to the universe.
Right.
It's kind of a product that you purchase for yourself.
Right.
My brother-in-law and father-in-law had started a company they called Member When. And they just interview you via the phone or via Skype and record your conversations with hired journalists. And so to give you an idea, ours was we had 2 chapters. Our first one was based on leading up to our wedding.
Right.
And the second chapter was leading up to the birth of our first child. So we'd get a call every, week and a half or so. And you'd do a 20-minute, 30-minute interview. They'd record all that. And then at the end of the session, they, do all their editing, so on and so forth, add in some music and, voiceover work and things like that. And you get this nice product that you can now go back and listen to down
That's
the road.
really cool.
And, it's very, it's an awesome opportunity to reflect on your past, which if it's not captured in that little capsule, how else would you be able to do it? Yeah.
And have you listened to it recently?
I haven't listened to it probably in like 6 months or so. Like we listened to our wedding one a little while back, and it was really neat because my in-laws are also on there. They were interviewed, and some things that they said about our wedding or our first child, those are magical things too.
Right.
Someday we'll be able to share with our kids.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I just did a podcast with
awesome.
my 2 daughters over the Christmas holiday, and it was hilarious, man, the stuff they were saying. And it's funny now is like one of them wants to listen to it every day. Like my 4-year-old, every other word is podcast, right? It's like, and she wants to hear it constantly.
Yeah.
My other daughter's like kind of embarrassed by her performance and doesn't want to hear it at all and wants to do a new one, So, but it's a lot of fun, like to sit down and capture those because it like a year from now, that's a place in time, right? Like remember when because you forget what was your kid like when they were 4 or 12 or whatever.
Hence why the company was called Member When.
Yeah.
That's right.
Is that on YouTube?
Remember
that
when
podcast?
we had that company?
I gotta listen to it. No?
No. It's just I just have it on my phone or whatever.
We should do a kids' day.
Yeah,
That would be hilarious.
It's pretty classic, man. Yeah, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Do you have any interest in doing it again, like maybe with son number 2, or I don't know if you're having a son, but child number 2?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure where their company stands right now. They definitely aren't working it as aggressively as they had before because who knows why. But if the product's available,
Sweet.
I would love to do something like that again.
I'm sure we
have
could-
that moment captured.
We could probably put something together here at a shared universe and get you guys down here for some capture a moment. That's it, but it is a great idea. Yeah, it's very cool.
I like that.
You do some property management also?
Yeah, we take care of a few different buildings for one client right now, and we're looking to grow that business moving into this year.
Right.
Basically, the way I look at it is I have investors that want to purchase, so as soon as they purchase, they're going to need someone to manage it.
Right.
Here I am ready to go. So,
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm doing a lot of personal development, taking classes and stuff on property management as well, so that I'm really like a certified person to handle it, because you don't want to just hire anybody.
Yeah,
you want to make sure that they are the best
Right.
person for the job. So I'm making sure I have those credentials going forward. Yeah.
Very cool. So that is something people could reach out to you about, like if they were looking for.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Sweet.
So are you the handyman in any scenarios, or it's going to be
You know what?
orchestrating?
On the properties that I own, I feel comfortable, repairing things here and there, and even minor stuff at some of the rentals that are not personally owned by me. But when it comes to like bigger stuff, like a plumbing issue or an electric issue, like there's licensed people for a reason.
Yeah,
So
Right.
we hire them.
Plus the liability too.
Yeah.
You don't want to mess it up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's classic. When I was a kid, that's how my dad was going to grad school. I was around. My sister was around, and he put himself through school as a property manager, but he knew nothing about property management. Like our classic family story was like every time you fix something, there were leftover parts. You know, that like, oh shoot, where did this one go? You know, like,
It's not good.
right. So it is good to have those skills.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything you want to finish up with? Tell us about for the new year.
You got me on a blank there.
All right, so people can check out your website. Are your listings at the jackgreenrealty.com site?
Yeah, you can find all of our listings at Jack Green Realty. Also on my social media, I blast stuff out quite often. So
Joseph York, Jack Green on Instagram.
yeah,
Definitely check him out.
Sweet. Yep, for sure. Follow him there. And then on Facebook, you can find Joseph York now. He has unveiled himself and is, is on there. All right, Joseph, thanks for coming in today.
Thanks so
we
much for
appreciate
having me.
it.
Thank you.
I'm Evan Balmer. You can find me on Instagram at Evan Balmer.
Mike Mercia at mortgageguy_Mike. And definitely check out Joseph at Joseph York, Jack Green on Instagram. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thanks, guys.
thanks.
Sweet.
Sorry, that last one was a doozy. That was like too open-ended of a question for me.
That's awesome.
I like that idea of recording.
Thank you.
Recording like life
Yeah, it's
before life events.
It's really cool.
We'll have to inspire them to get the company rolling again.
Yeah. That's one cool thing. Like, so for a Christmas present 2 years ago, we got my in-laws. They had boxes of cassettes, and my wife and her sister went to some mom and pop shop company and got them all transferred to a drive into CDs.
Right.
And they spent weeks of watching this old footage, and I happened to be there like once or twice.
Right.
And it's really cool to see. You know, everyone has pictures, but recording the stuff and the kids playing with toys on Christmas, and now they're sitting there with their grandkids,
Right.
and it's just like a huge experience for them. So I started recording things on my phone. It's the same reason. It's like I can have a picture of it. I back everything up to the cloud, everything up to Google Drive.
Right.
Yep.
Totally.
You know, it's gonna be